Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at a case where a police officer almost crashed her patrol vehicle into another car, and then proceeded to place the innocent driver in handcuffs before charging him for obstruction. The driver has now recently sued the city and the officers. On September 22, 2022, Officer Carly Lewis of the Cleveland Heights Police Department, while on routine patrol duty, spotted a vehicle whose license plate matched that of a suspicious vehicle observed the previous day. Assuming that it was the car she had been looking for, Officer Lewis pursued a traffic stop and attempted to pull the driver out. Amidst this, Officer Lewis allegedly cut a second driver off, almost crashing into him. This dangerous maneuver prompted the second driver to park behind Officer Lewis to speak with her as he was rightfully unhappy with the near collision. Officer Lewis acknowledged the second driver and asked him to wait while she dealt with the driver that was pulled over.
Hey, 1
second!
Go ahead.
81 radio, stand by. It's going to be on Mayfield, across from the first access road. Send me another unit because another party does not know how to yield to lights and sirens, and he's sitting here recording me. Say they almost ran him off the road. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Officer Lewis with Cleveland Heights. The reason for the traffic stop is the plates on the vehicle are expired.
Yeah,
Not even a big deal. Do you know that guy behind me in the Porsche?
I was trying to hurry up and move over.
You're good. No, you're good. You did the right thing. I put my lights out and sirens. He did not move over. All good. You're the registered owner?
Yeah.
Do you have your driver license?
Yes, I do.
Do you have that with you?
Yeah. And so this what happened. My title just got here. I bought this car from my dad friend.
Okay.
His name Michelle. I got the title in my glove box if you want to see it.
You're good.
So I just got to go to the DMV. I just got the title like yesterday.
Do you have it with you?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Reach over there and grab it?
Yeah, go ahead. No weapons in the car?
I'm licensed to carry.
Are you carrying currently?
It's inside the thing.
It's in where?
In my ear.
Okay, you're good. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. This is the title. I got insurance and everything. I just got the title because I bought the car from him.
Okay. Not a big
deal. They got my name on the back and everything.
All right, cool. All right, Mr. Goodman, give me 1 moment.
Okay.
In case you didn't catch what Officer Lewis initially said to dispatch, she claimed that the second driver, 37-year-old Demetrius Kern, had failed to yield to lights and sirens, implying that she switched her lights and sirens on before pulling the suspect driver over. She also requested backup, despite Mr. Kern merely waiting on the sidewalk and recording her. Neither of which constituted illegal nor threatening behavior under the First Amendment's guarantee of freedom of speech and press, as interpreted by the Supreme Court in cases such as Texas v. Johnson of 1989. Anyway, after a brief exchange with the suspect driver who was pulled over, Officer Lewis made her way back to her patrol vehicle and then spoke with Mr. Kern, who was clearly unhappy with her reckless driving. Mr. Kern refuted Officer Lewis's claims of having her license siren switched on when she cut him off.
And I'll give you the plate to the other vehicle that's out with the confrontation. I apologize.
You almost ran me off the wall.
I initiated my lights and sirens.
I didn't hear anything.
But was your music on? Because I had the lights and sirens on, sir.
Yes, sir.
You apologize.
I apologize.
You're wrong.
He stopped abruptly.
I'm gonna let it go.
Okay, I'm not wrong. The lights and sirens were activated.
You ran me off the road
I did not
almost.
do that, sir. The lights and sirens on my marked patrol because he stopped abruptly, causing me to stop abruptly, causing you to stop abruptly.
Right.
And I apologize for that. However, the lights and sirens were on. Okay, the police vehicle is marked. You can clearly see it's a marked patrol vehicle. I initiated lights and sirens. I'm not going to argue, and I'm telling you I do. I'm going to tell you I do apologize that he did stop abruptly. Nobody was wrong.
I'm going to tell you the disconnect, right?
As seen in the footage, Officer Lewis did apologize to Mr. Kern, but then immediately claimed that she wasn't in the wrong, blaming the first driver for stopping too abruptly. However, this was a blatant lie since we've just seen Officer Lewis speak to the first driver and directly tell him that he had done nothing wrong, meaning that he definitely didn't stop too abruptly. Let's hear it again.
Do you know that guy behind me in the Porsche?
I was trying to hurry up and move over.
You're good. No, you're good. You did the right thing.
So, judging by this, it appears that Officer Lewis was not only lying, but actively refraining from accepting her mistake. and things immediately escalated from there as soon as backup arrived. The responding unit was Sergeant Naftali Wolf, who immediately took matters into his hands, even though he had absolutely no idea what had happened. Watch as he pulls up to the scene with aggression and then threatens Mr. Kern with arrest.
Radio John Victor George 5435.
If there's something wrong and you actually did it, all you say, my bad, I'm sorry, and keep going.
I said my bad. I said I activated a I initiated a traffic stop in a marked vehicle with lights and sirens.
Right.
If you didn't hear the sirens or see the lights, I mean,
you called backup for your safety, but
Well, you don't pull up behind an officer on a traffic stop.
you don't even know what's going on.
You're right, I don't.
So why are you saying that?
Because I'm here and what you're doing right now is against the law.
Ran me off the road.
Okay, well then you should have pulled over for lights and sirens. You said it on the radio that you didn't yield. And it's on dash cam, I'm assuming.
Just the disconnect, man.
Sir,
I'll tell you what, let her finish her business and then we can sit down and talk like
we're
adults.
good. I'm going to let him go.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, what was your last name?
My last name?
Yeah.
Why you need my last name?
Because I'm asking him to talk. You asked me who you were talking to.
You're now you're going to be under arrest because what you're doing is illegal.
Listen.
What you're doing is illegal. I can charge you for interfering with the traffic stop.
Why?
Because I'm
Am I
conducting
being
business
detained?
with you right
Am
now.
I being detained?
If you want to be.
10-4, that's
No,
not
that's not how it works. What's your RS?
Stand by.
My RS?
Articulate
Okay.
suspicion of
Okay.
my crime.
Here,
I'm gonna
first,
get
okay, hold on. I'll explain it to you, okay? Doing what you're doing right now.
No, sir, she almost ran me off the road.
Okay. Again, you didn't yield to lights and siren. You came out.
She was next to me and stopped and almost ran me off the road.
Okay,
What are you talking
okay,
about?
listen to me. You asked my reasonable articulable suspicion. It's not a
I'm not
probable
under
cause.
arrest. If you arrest me, you violate my rights.
I don't want to arrest you. We have to
You're
ID
going to
you.
violate my rights. That's what you're going to
Okay,
do?
we have to ID you. You understand that? Yes, we do.
All right, I'm going to videotape it.
Okay, we got you on camera
I'm
too.
going to call. They can come get the car. You're violating my rights.
Come getting. Who's getting what car?
They can come. You're going to arrest
Radio,
me,
another
right?
car here. I got a male who's obstructing.
No, I'm not.
And he's
She
refusing to
almost
identify
ran me
himself.
off the road.
So I'll take a report on it, but I need your ID.
No.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with her.
For some reason, even though Officer Lewis stated that she would not hold Mr. Kern any longer, Sergeant Wolf had other plans in mind. He immediately assumed that Mr. Kern was interfering with Officer Lewis's traffic stop, which was obviously not the case since Mr. Kern actually waited on the sidewalk and stayed far away from the scene. Also, Sergeant Wolf ordered Mr. Kern to provide his ID numerous times, adding that it was compulsory for him to comply. However, we need to look at the overall situation to analyze whether this was true. Firstly, let's determine whether Mr. Kern was detained at that point. According to the very well-known case of Terry v. Ohio, a person is detained and thus subject to a Fourth Amendment seizure when a reasonable person would not feel free to leave under the circumstances. Mr. Kern was filming on a public sidewalk when Sergeant Wolf approached him and demanded his ID. A reasonable person in that situation would not feel free to simply walk away. Therefore, Mr. Kern was detained for Fourth Amendment purposes, even though it was not explicitly stated by either officer. So, the question then becomes whether Sergeant Wolf had reasonable suspicion that Mr. Kern had committed or was about to commit a crime to justify that detention. And it's a pretty obvious answer. Sergeant Wolf had absolutely zero reasonable suspicion.
Hold on. I'll explain it to you, okay?
Mr. Goodman, have a good day. Just make sure you get the plates as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm going to get them.
Technically, they're expired over a month, and you can't drive with the other owner's plates on the vehicle. 2 tickets. I'm not going to write it.
Okay.
I'm going to go deal with this man who's extremely irritated.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take care of it.
Yeah, you're good to go. You're good to go.
He's refusing to identify himself.
Listen, talk to me. Just do me a favor. All I'm asking you,
I'm a private citizen.
just take your hands out of your pocket while we're talking,
Right.
okay? I called for backup, all right?
Yeah.
I initiated a traffic stop. I understand you and I and that gentleman, we all just saw what happened, okay? I'm calling for another person because I'm dealing with one person who I don't know who I'm dealing with. And you get out. Listen, sir, let me speak. Let me explain to you. I call for another person because I have a man getting out of the car walking towards me. You know how society is. I know how society is. Now listen. I'm asking you to identify yourself so I can let my dispatcher know who I'm out with. If you don't identify yourself, that is obstruction. You are the one that came out.
Obstruction is a secondary crime. What crime did I commit?
This is an appropriate time to discuss what obstruction exactly means, and whether Mr. Kern was obstructing the officers in any shape or form. Note that we've already discussed that Mr. Kern was unlawfully detained at this point, which meant that he did not need to provide ID because no reasonable suspicion could be articulated against him. Despite this, Officer Lewis continued to demand ID from Mr. Kern. Other than that, according to Section 2921.31 of the Ohio Revised Code, it stated that no person without privilege to do so and with purpose to prevent, obstruct, or delay the performance by a public official of any authorized act within the public official's official capacity shall do any act that hampers or impedes a public official in the performance of the public official's lawful duties. Whoever violates this section is guilty of obstructing official business, except as otherwise provided in this division. Obstructing official business is a misdemeanor of the second degree. If a violation of this section creates a risk of physical harm to any person, obstructing official business is a felony of the fifth degree. Taking this into account, we can confidently conclude that Mr. Kern was not remotely obstructing any official business. Next, body cam footage captured Officer Lewis blatantly admitting that Mr. Kern had committed no crime. In response, Mr. Kern walked away to get back into his vehicle and go about his day. But Sergeant Wolf stopped him and continued to threaten him with arrest, which showed the pure disdain he had against the innocent man.
There's no crime, but I'm identifying you. Okay.
Thank you.
I need your driver license.
Look, man, I'm sorry. No, look, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to arrest you if you don't identify yourself.
She just said it was no crime.
It is a crime. Obstructing is a crime. You have to legally identify yourself to us.
She almost ran me off the road.
And then I still have to identify you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, I'm going to call into the car. You can arrest me.
Okay, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Because I didn't do anything.
Okay, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Just all you have to do.
I don't have my ID with me.
Okay, what's your cell phone?
That's all we asked for.
For what?
Because I need to let my dispatcher know. It's not a big deal.
But you almost ran me off the
And
road.
we just had an adult conversation.
So how am I obstructing?
Sir, just give me your social so we can let you.
Just getting a ticket for the truck.
You just told me.
It doesn't matter, you're in handcuffs now.
You don't break my wrist.
Sir,
I'm not resisting.
slow it down. Radio DS when ready.
Okay, and we're dealing with it, but you can't just stop in the middle on someone's traffic stop.
I didn't stop at a traffic stop. I pulled over because I was almost at this pole.
Because you don't have your ID in your wallet.
288-84-9401. What's your last name, sir?
Kern, man.
Kern?
You know what happened. Why are you letting him do this?
He's a sergeant.
He's violating my rights.
He is not. You
Here, have a
didn't
seat. We're going to give you a
identify
ticket when we
yourself.
send you on your way. You have valid driver's license?
Yeah, I do. You violate my rights, man.
Yeah, were you getting a ticket for interfering with the traffic?
How did I interfere? She almost ran me off the...
And you could have pulled off and waited and called.
I did wait when she said wait.
You were out here talking to her. Have a seat.
Mr. Kern, just
Don't push me, man.
Have a seat.
Why are you so full of machismo, man?
Dude, have a seat. I'm not putting up. Okay? Have a seat.
What's wrong with you, man?
Have a seat.
Sit down.
All the way in.
if he
He's going
checks,
for obstructing. Or he's getting a
you're
ticket
gonna.
for obstructing. Is he valid?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the radio to say. What? So this is what happened.
At this point, Mr. Kern was placed in handcuffs and secured in the back seat of a patrol vehicle for no reason at all. No crime was committed. No suspicion was articulated, and this was a case of pure tyranny. Officer Lewis even claimed that she couldn't do anything because the sergeant was the one placing Mr. Kern in handcuffs, implying that she didn't have the power to correct him. However, that's not true. Court decisions in Ohio and across the United States have established legal principles regarding the duty to intervene. These principles are derived from the Fourth Amendment's prohibition against the use of excessive force and the objective reasonableness standard set by the landmark Supreme Court case Graham v. Connor. According to the 1989 case, the reasonableness of an officer's actions should be evaluated from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene, considering the totality of the circumstances. If an officer witnesses excessive force or misconduct by another officer, they have a duty to intervene and prevent further harm.
If
He's going for obstructing, or he's getting a ticket for obstructing. Is he valid?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the radio to say. So this is what happened. That vehicle matched the description of the vehicle from Weird yesterday.
Okay.
I saw it. I initiated a traffic stop.
Okay.
That person, instead of like pulling over, he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
And I'm getting behind him, but he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
This guy was very close to him,
Okay.
and we almost did get into an accident because that driver stopped so
have your
abruptly.
license on?
I did, yes.
He gets a ticket for there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this.
Okay.
He's getting a ticket for
Radio 1, if you need to read back on that, yes, I have it.
emergency vehicle.
Yes, lady, I do. That's why I provided
It
it.
was to a Demetrius Raphael Kern. It's a 37-year-old male. He's valid, that's one.
So he gets a ticket, and then he can come to court.
Listen, I don't feel like I need to give him a ticket for that. I'm
Well,
cool
then
with
he goes
just.
for obstructing.
Okay, I mean, I'm cool with letting him go.
Like,
I didn't understand.
He's in handcuffs.
And he's being a jerk.
He obstructed. He refused to identify himself. I'm not going to sit out here and argue with somebody for an hour the legalities of it. You can come to court.
Okay.
So he gets a ticket for obstructing failure to identify himself.
Now, even though Officer Lewis stated that she would be fine with releasing Mr. Kern from custody and letting him go on his way, Sergeant Wolf insisted that Mr. Kern be charged with obstruction and failure to identify. However, it's worth mentioning again that the detainment itself was unlawful, meaning that Mr. Kern did not need to identify in the first place.
You guys got a lawsuit
Mr. Kern,
coming.
just hang on. Just
You got a lawsuit coming.
Listen, let me explain to you. Don't get out of the car yet. The sergeant wants me to give you a ticket for obstruction, okay? I'm not going to do anything else. Listen, he is the boss. He is the boss.
I don't have to refuse if I didn't commit a crime. This isn't a stop and ID state.
At this point, it is a traffic stop because you're
You
out on a
almost ran me
traffic
off
stop.
the road.
Mr.
You
Kern,
know
we
it.
just had that conversation. I did not almost run you off the road.
That Tesla has cameras in it. So
Okay.
you guys are going to pay for this.
That's fine.
Come to court. You can fight it in court.
This literally was a traffic stop that gentleman stopped abruptly. You and I just had this
So
conversation.
you know, like I know. And then why is it that you can talk, but what I'm saying...
You can talk. I have no problem with you talking.
Just like you said, he made an abrupt stop, which you swerved over, and I almost hit you.
Right. And we are both agreeing on it. It's on my body camera.
So what are you talking about? It's obstruction. I almost got hit. I stopped and I seen what was wrong. You told me to step back. I stepped back. I followed your directives.
You did.
Until he came and with his balls out.
Well, we needed to get your name and information.
I didn't commit a crime. I was responding.
All right, just have a seat. Just sit back in there.
This is going to be a heavy lawsuit.
Okay. I'm fine with not doing it. He's pissed.
I don't care if he's pissed. I'm sorry. Since when in police work? Do we? I don't care if he's pissed. Since when in police work do we allow people to not identify themselves to us?
He didn't.
On a legal stop.
He just identified himself.
After I put him in handcuffs and told him he was under arrest for obstructing.
He had just identified himself.
After I put him in handcuffs.
He was gonna, I don't know. I feel that it wasn't gonna go that direction, but...
Oh, it was absolutely going.
Okay, well, I'll write him a ticket for obstruction.
Even still, Officer Lewis expressed her opinion that Mr. Kern did not need to be cited for anything since he eventually identified himself. However, once again, Sergeant Wolf made it clear that Mr. Kern must be cited for obstruction. This was likely because he already made the mistake of placing him in handcuffs, so he had no choice but to proceed with the unlawful detainment and citation. Moving on, Officer Lewis got back inside her patrol vehicle to write Mr. Kern a ticket, and that's when both parties had a conversation about the ordeal. Watch how Officer Lewis apologized to Mr. Kern, but yet again justified the unlawful detainment by stating that it was the sergeant's order and that she could do nothing about it. She even went on to try and justify the unlawful citation.
Affirmative. Roger.
Mr. Kern, I apologize. I really do. And this is on body cam, alright? This is, the sergeant's telling me to do this, so...
Did I break the law?
Police have to identify you, you do have to identify yourself.
If I broke the law, if I broke the law, I have to identify.
Mr. Kern, you got out of the vehicle in the middle of a traffic stop.
I almost got hit.
I understand that. and I needed to identify you.
This is going to be a heavy lawsuit. Cleveland Heights is going to pay me for this.
For what, sir?
Kidnapping, illegal detainment.
No one's kidnapping
I'm in the
you.
back of your car in handcuffs.
Okay,
I'm kidnapped.
this is not kidnapping. The sergeant placed you under arrest for obstruction.
How did I? You know, like I know, I didn't obstruct.
He asked for your information and you didn't give it to him. Listen, I'm gonna be. There'll be a court date. You and I will both go to it. And our prosecutor's really good, and we'll work through it, okay? Say again.
I asked him why he was doing that to my arm. He did it anyway.
I didn't see what he did to you.
What's on camera? I asked him. I said, why are you doing that to my arm? Then he said, why are you resisting? Who was resisting?
I don't take it personally. I'm not taking anything personally. I apologize that you were even in this position right now. All we needed was your name and your driver license, and you would have been on your way.
I didn't break any infractions. I didn't break any
Well,
I didn't break any ordinance. I didn't do anything. I didn't break the law. I was responding to almost getting ran off the road. I got out the car. You told me to stay back. I stood back, correct?
you did.
So how was I affecting your stop? When in the
That's not what he was saying.
United States, citizens can watch stops.
They can, absolutely.
And I was 25 feet away at least.
But at that point, you and I were conducting business.
Following this, Officer Lewis approached Sergeant Wolf's patrol vehicle to ask what she should mention on the ticket, and that's when Sergeant Wolf asked Officer Lewis what exactly happened so he could determine whether what he had done was lawful or not. Unsurprisingly, Sergeant Wolf appeared to justify his actions, even though it was obvious that the detainment was illegal.
What do I put for this verbiage? When asked to identify himself, he refused.
So, just for my own, you activated your overhead.
So we're literally here, and I'm coming up because I saw that car. It looked like the car from yesterday's incident. I ran it. It's expired. I am in this lane. I put my lights on to activate. The guy, instead of continuing, he whips over, stops abruptly, and I'm halfway in between both lanes, and this guy was right behind him. So it did almost cause an accident. Absolutely. No, I was trying to go behind. It would have been a sure clear distance accident. But because of how that guy stopped abruptly, it would have been.
And he stopped and just decided to get out of.
Well, and he was pissed because we did almost get into an accident. You
didn't almost get in.
No, all of three of us, it would have been an accident. Yeah, I was going behind the other guy.
He could have gone down the street.
But the guy stopped abruptly, but he did. Then he got out and he's yelling. He's yelling while I'm initiating. Right. So I told him, I said, sir, just stand there. Let me talk to him. I'll come talk to you. And he did. But then he's continuous, because that happened, I called for backup. And then he was upset, rightfully so. It was whatever. Why are they? Was that necessary?
I don't think so. Wow, that scared me. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he.
Okay. Well, either way, it's obstructing. Look, I'll ask you once. I'll ask you twice. After that, that's it.
How many times do you ask?
At least 4 times. It's all on camera.
All right. Well, his test has got cameras too, so yay.
I doubt it.
I think that they do.
Finally, Mr. Kern was placed out of handcuffs and he requested medical attention since his wrist was left injured because of Sergeant Wolf's use of force when initially securing the cuffs. He was given a ticket for obstruction and then gave Officer Lewis a much-needed lecture on what she should have done.
Mr. Kern, they're going to check you out. I got to give you a ticket and you're good to go. Are you going to go down to the hospital?
I'm going to the hospital.
Okay, we're going to have to tow your car.
Why are you towing my car?
They can't sit here on Mayfield Road.
I got a left arm. I'm going to get my car and drive.
Okay, that's fine. Do you need the squad then?
Do I need to get in there now?
Yeah, what's the matter?
Because I don't want him to tow my car. He did something to my arm.
All right, here's your property.
Hold on, let me get this hand.
Sure.
It was pushing on my cuffs are these, man.
Some janky rest here. Do you want to sign or are you going to refuse?
About it.
All right, I'm going to give you a copy of it.
The distance between her car to show us reasonable space, my arm is hurting really bad. You guys violated my rights. You know.
Well, we'll all be in court. All right, you're good to go. Are you
Either way,
okay?
though, like, yeah, I know I'm not okay. I gotta go see about my arm. See if
Okay.
I get something on my shoulder.
All right, well, it's going to all be typed up in the report, all right? And then tomorrow, talk to the prosecutor and see what she says.
You're probably the only good cop on the force.
I'm not trying to be a bad cop. I was literally not trying to even have any of this happen, and I did apologize.
You apologize, but you're following his directives.
He's a sergeant.
Yeah, but still, like you swore oath to the Constitution.
Right.
And you know what's right and wrong. And sometimes you got to stand up to people.
Listen.
No.
When asked for your information, you have to identify yourself. At this point, we're on a traffic stop together
But you
now.
still have to.
A traffic stop is not a crime.
And I asked him about being detained, and nobody answered that.
Listen.
So I did it. I covered all my bases.
All the stuff's going to be typed in the report.
If I was being detained, I had no choice but to give you my ID. That's why I specifically asked.
Yeah.
Am I being detained?
Well, at that point, it's a traffic stop.
But still, if I'm being detained, you should tell me. And if I'm not being detained, I'm free to go. And
Right.
in the situation.
Well, right now, you're free to go.
Yeah. So.
All right? I hope that you feel better.
As expected, Mr. Kern fought the citation in court, and records show that a prosecutor checked a box on a motion indicating that the city did not have enough evidence to sustain a conviction. So, on October 3, 2022, the case against Mr. Kern was dismissed by a Cleveland Heights Municipal Court judge. Along with this, Mr. Kern made sure to file a complaint against the Cleveland Heights Police Department. In response, the city released a statement stating that it's taking the matter very seriously. The statement noted that, following Mr. Kern's complaint about the September 22, 2022 incident, Cleveland Heights Police Chief Chris Britton immediately launched a full investigation to determine what happened, why and what steps the city of Cleveland Heights should take in response. Soon after this, Chief Britton simply ordered Sergeant Wolf to attend a de-escalation training session. Then, several months later, in July 2023, attorneys Christopher Weist and Thomas Burns filed a federal lawsuit in Cleveland on Mr. Kern's behalf against Cleveland Heights and police officers Carly Lewis and Sergeant Naftali Wolf. The lawsuit alleges the officers' actions showed a racial bias against Mr. Kern and his constitutional rights were violated. The lawsuit also claims that Sergeant Wolf came up with the obstruction charge to justify the arrest. As of the date of this recording, Mike Thomas, Director of Communications and Public Engagement for the city, told the CJN that they are still reviewing the lawsuit and cannot comment just yet. Be sure to check out our previous video, where we cover another outrageous police encounter